Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Give an entitled customer a minute and they'll take an hour, aka no good deed goes unpunished. I hope you learned your lesson and stick to the plan next time, OP. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. If I say we close at 8, then we close at 8. I work at the local mall as a waitress in one of the smaller restaurants, and it's usually busy during lunch and dinner. The whole mall closes at 8 p.m., and any store open past closing must pay a fine, around $600. This often leads to me having to tell customers showing up after 7:30 p.m. that we no longer serve food in the restaurant. Takeaway is available until about 7:50, and after that, we're closed. Today was somewhat calm, and the kitchen started closing down at around 7:30, cleaning and whatnot. I was the only server still working and spent the time clearing tables, restocking soda cans, etc. It started to look like we might be able to leave early. No. In comes a group of 5, 2 mothers, 3 kids, and without even acknowledging me, they seat themselves at a table. I walk over and explain that we are in fact closed for the evening. When it comes to dining here, it's less than 30 minutes left until closing, and I would hate for them to have to shovel their food down in a hurry. They look a bit perplexed and asked if there's no possibility of still eating here. Could I ask the kitchen? Well, okay, they are 5 people. That's kind of a big order. Might as well take it. Cue the bringing out the coupons. Children's coupons, a 2-for-1 deal, 2 of them. Usable until 7:30 p.m. It's past 7:30 p.m. Okay, I agree to accept them, thinking that the adult wants to order something too. Wrong. Fine, 4 kids' meals don't take too long to make. There's plenty of time. 2 mid-20s show up at this point and ask if they can order some food to eat here. They know we close at 8 and just want a very quick bite and promise to be out of there by 8. Sure, if you want to eat in about 15 minutes, that's up to you guys. Kitchen agrees and start on the food. At 7:40, one of the mothers show up with an additional 2-for-1 kids coupon asking for another 2 meals. I tell her that it's still not usable after 7:30 and that I don't know if the kitchen will be able to bring out all 6 meals at the same point. She insists, and I ask the kitchen if it'll delay the original food, seeing as it will be at least another few minutes before it's done. My amazing line cooks say they can make it. I'm bringing them cupcakes for this. And by 7:45, both the 6 kids' meals and the other order is done. 2 people left in the kitchen, no buzzer, and me. We start cleaning like crazy to try to finish as soon as possible. As promised, the couple devours their food and thanks me for agreeing to serve them, even though they were late. They're out by 7:55. I wanted to hug them. I clean off their table only to be flagged down by the family group. They want more sauce and chips, having eaten most of what they were served and still having other foodstuffs left. At this point, I don't even want to go into the kitchen to ask for even more food to be made, so I tell them I might be able to bring some more sauce, but that's it. Kitchen's well and truly closed by now, and it's past 8 p.m. already. Thankfully, there's cold barbecue sauce available, and they continue their meal while I carry our menu signs inside, snuff out candles, turn the digital menu displays off, and clean the soda dispenser. Everything's fine until I get the keys to close the front door. It's one of those roll-up metal doors that comes down from the ceiling and close it about halfway down, showing the security guards that we are indeed in the process of closing. This is apparently a huge disturbance to my customers, and the mothers finally collect their things and kids and head out the door, glaring at me as they pass. Gotta love my job. That's ridiculously rude, considering you allowed them to eat there and they basically begged to. And our second story. Robber mistakes me, cashier, as other customer. I'm a convenience store cashier, and besides the occasional robbery, nothing really happens here. We've had a handful of super dramatic get-on-the-ground robberies, but most are just regular shoplifters. Because nothing really happens here, I like to make small talk with the people in the store to pass the time. Sometimes people have great stories. Sometimes we end up knowing someone in common. Sometimes it's just nice to make a person smile. The other day, I was out from behind the register stocking shelves. I was the only person in the store because weekday afternoons are usually slow and because basically everyone's quit. It's getting cold here and the building still hasn't turned the heat on, so I had a hoodie over my uniform, short sleeve shirt, and name tag. So I guess I just looked like a guy browsing the aisles. But it wasn't a problem because when a customer came in, I'd say, "Let me know if you need anything," and that cleared it up. Maybe 2 came in the entire start of my shift, just as things were wrapping up and I'd had a long dead streak. A guy about my age came in and seemed in a great mood. He also had a big hoodie, but it's cold out, so I didn't think anything of it at all. I said, "Let me know if you need anything," from down where I was with the shelves, and he came and stood by me, kind of giggling. Weird, but I've seen weirder, whatever. Finally, I said, "Can I help you?" And he just goes, "Hey." So I'm like, "Hi." And he starts talking to me about the logo on my hoodie, local sports team. And we go back and forth for a bit. My side of the conversation was normal. His side was really overstated. In hindsight, it's because he was nervous. But I was kind of checked out and didn't really care at the time. Like I'd say, "He's got a good arm, but his head just isn't in it this season." And the guy would reply, "Oh my God, the best arm, once in a lifetime talent. But he's not there at all. Gone, trash, garbage. They should just cut him." I keep stocking the shelves, not thinking at all about the odd nature of what he's saying, and instead thinking in the back of my mind, is he going to buy something or what? From there, we actually got to talking about how we got into the game and had a really heartfelt conversation about going with our fathers and sitting in the cheap seats and did actually sort of bond a little. Finally, we run out of sports commentary to make at one another, though, so there was a wave of silence for a few minutes. Then he gets uncomfortably close to me and whispers, "I like you a lot, you know that?" So my first thought was that this was some kind of gay thing. No problem at all if that's what you're into. It's not my scene, though. So I took a healthy step back and told him thanks, but no thanks. He kind of laughed maniacally and explained to me he meant he liked me, so he'd be willing to cut me in on what he was currently doing. I asked what that is. He explains, "Ain't nobody in here. I've got my truck outside. I'm going to load it up with beer and crap. You seem like a good dude, so I'm tipping you off in case you want anything. Ain't no one here. It's easy money, bro." I couldn't believe it. He was trying to rob the store, and he was telling me about it. I quickly realized his overly excited, socially inappropriate behavior must have been something illegal. Rather than confront him, in my experience, their moods can change from perky to violent really quickly. I just went with my gut and decided to play along. I knew I needed an excuse to get back behind the register, so I said, "Good crap, forget the beer though, man. I'm going for the real easy money," and hopped over behind the counter where I promptly, but discreetly, pressed the button that locks the doors from the inside, followed shortly by our brand new panic button. First time I'd ever used it, hoping there wouldn't be a time, but at least I wasn't genuinely panicking yet. At this point, he's loaded both shoulders up with six-packs and headed for the door to make the first of what I'm sure he anticipated would be several trips. He pushed against the door with his hip, and of course it didn't budge, and he pushed pretty hard, anticipating it would swing easily, so I felt kind of bad seeing him wince. He nearly dropped the beer. He turned to me, more frustrated than scared at this point, and went, "Bruh, the door's jammed. Can you give it a try?" I was nervous to step out from behind the register in case this guy had a weapon, so tried to deflect and was just like, "Maybe you gotta pull it." He started freaking out and was running around the store. He was trying the back door, but it was locked as well. He was trying to climb up and reach the one tiny window we've got, but not only was it too high, it doesn't really fit a person. I kept playing dumb. Eventually the cops came, took a while, and the guy had resorted to hiding in the stockroom by the time they made it over. Not before first wrecking a couple of aisles in his frenzy, but at least I was able to lock him in the stockroom once he went inside. They came in to arrest the guy, and he starts trying to blame the whole thing on me, saying I set him up, saying I made him do it. It genuinely confused the police for a bit. So I don't work as a robber. I do work at the gas station, though how much longer will depend on how many more robberies I live down. And our last story. HOA banned me from building on my property. Let's see what my lawyer friend has to say. I have a story that I think would fit perfectly in this sub I've only just found. Please sit back and enjoy this saga as I do my best to describe in detail from memory. The now ex and I had done a property swap with her boss at the time. Short story is their daughter had broke up with her boyfriend and couldn't afford the property, and we were looking to upgrade. Enough of the boring details. It was a very new corner lot house with the structure in the center of said property. West side had approximately 35 feet to property line. I had agreed to this property as I wanted to build a shop for my race cars and parking my trailer alongside the shop, which would fit perfectly. There was a small shed on the property behind the fence line, but my intent was to remove that once my shop was built, as the bylaws stated 1 outbuilding per lot. There were no dimension limitations, no design limitations, etc. I even had a friend who was an ex-lawyer look over the bylaws to see what I had seen as plenty of legal wiggle room to do what I wanted to do. So I started my process by going to the city and getting my permit to build and verifying my setback limitations, etc. I'd settled on a 15 by 25 shop with a 10-foot parking next to said shop. I also had another friend do up an actual blueprint. At that point, I sent the HOA a letter of what my intentions were and that everything I would be doing would meet all the criteria for improving value, maintaining aesthetic similarities, etc., etc. I didn't even think they'd offer much pushback, as it was a substantial increase in value and the like. I thought wrong. The obvious first letter simply said no. No explanation, no leeway, nothing, just no. I, of course, wasn't satisfied with that and had my attorney friend write a letter outlining their rules and regulations and where their gaping loopholes were, and then told them point blank their own rules allow for my building as it met literally every of their criteria. The leader of the HOA, who was nothing more than the developer in the first segment of the sub, seemed much more willing to talk after that. I told him it'd be much easier if he was willing to concede that I was going to build something, and that we could agree on a design, or I was going to build what I wanted, and then he would have to find a judge that would force me to take it down based on his very lax bylaws, which wouldn't happen. He got pretty pissed, but he also knew I had him covered. We ended up agreeing that an attached roofline structure with a breezeway would be the best option, and I also was able to keep my shed in the process. I ended up losing the house and my beautiful shop in the divorce, but I did beat the HOA. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.